So you already know you have access to the majority of your Steam library in the Steam frame itself. Now, picture this. You're scrolling through your library. You're looking through all of your flat screen games, every single one of them. You finally figure out what you want to play. Doesn't matter which one, you pick it, you boot it up, and you have entered a VR version of that game. Sounds impossible, right? Like a fantasy you might imagine when picturing the ideal outcome for VR one day. But what if I told you? No, it's not happening. We're still a far ways away, but all of the tech exists and it just needs to be tied together, and in a small way, it could be on the frame. For this to be possible, 3 things are necessary. Thing number 1, the ability to run Steam games on a VR headset. Frame checks that box. Thing number 2, the ability to transform your flat screen games into VR games. And thing number 3, the ability to do this in a streamlined manner, right? Not going and searching for mods and compatibility and installing it and all of that junk. Just hit and play, booting it up, you are in VR. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, the first thing, the Steam frame exists, but those second and third things, that's not possible. You can't do that. What if I told you? There's a tool called UEVR, right? And what this does is it transforms any of your Unreal Engine flat screen games into VR games. Now, when I say any, huge asterisk there, like seriously. Not all of the games work, even the ones that do, not all of them work well, but there are long compatibility charts for all of this. Sure, that's different from any game in your entire Steam library. This is only Unreal Engine games, and this is only supported Unreal Engine games, and the frame will just not be powerful enough to even run all of the supported Unreal Engine games. But this technology does exist, and it's only getting better. I think it's unlikely that there will be 0 total flat screen games that work on the frame using UEVR. Now, the third piece of the puzzle, getting all of this in a streamlined manner, not having to go download all the mods yourself, just being able to go click play, boot up your game, you're in VR. Well, the Steam frame is the best platform for this possible that we have so far because of all of the customization you can access through plugins. Because the Steam frame is running Linux or Steam OS, you will be able to modify it or install plugins. For example, there's a plugin loader for the Steam Deck already called Decky, and I think it's very possible, more than possible, highly likely that there will also be a plugin loader created for the Steam frame as well. For example, there's a plugin on Decky right now called Proton DB badge. I have no fucking idea what it's actually called, but the idea of it is that you can look through all the games in your library, click on it, and see the Proton DB rating for that game. A Proton DB rating is just how well the game will run on Linux, right? Because Valve's Steam Deck verified program glosses over a couple of things. There's some games it says are unsupported that work perfectly fine on the Steam Deck for some reason. Proton DB just gives you the real information, what people are reporting, how well the game actually works. Imagine if you had a plugin for the frame where you could scroll through all of your games and see which ones could support an injected mod right then and there. Using the plugin, you hit inject, you then have a 3D VR game. That would be sick. That would be so sick. And speaking of plugins, like, it's so hard to even fathom what's possible on this device because kind of anything is possible. It's a Linux headset, and plugins already elevate the experience of the Steam Deck so much. I wonder what people are going to think of for the frame. Maybe changing your environment on the fly, but I know Steam VR already has a lot of support for that sort of thing, so maybe messing with stuff in your environment. Maybe when you're playing a big flat screen game, having the lights dynamically shine off of other stuff in your environment. I don't know, maybe Discord integration. I know there are plugins on Decky that make Discord really simple and easy to use. I could easily see that being something available on the frame. And I'm guessing customization is going to be top notch. One of the biggest reasons people use plugins on the Steam Deck is to customize it. I mean, look at mine. Listen to these sound effects. That's from the Petscop sound effects pack. Love me some Petscop. I love the whole vibe I created with it. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, you should subscribe because I have more videos like this. I love talking about Valve hardware, Steam frame, maybe a little bit of Half-Life stuff, and I'm going to be making more videos about it. So if it's your vibe, go ahead, subscribe. Bars kind of stole that from Cyberdopamine though, but bars. Now plugins are on the software side of things. What about physical mods? There is a PCIe port on the headset after all, and I am going to get the technicals of this wrong. I don't know what version of PCIe it is or whatever, but if you're not familiar with PCIe, this is basically how you plug your graphics card into your computer. That's the port we're talking about. That's the amount of power. I'm not expecting you to be able to plug in a whole GPU. I don't see why not. Actually, it's just, we don't really know what people will use that port for. You know, there's been plenty of talk about making a full color pass-through module. Maybe there could be a hand tracking module. Maybe this could be the same thing. We just don't really know what to expect. But something we can easily expect for homebrew on this headset is emulation. I mean, if you can install Linux on it, if you can homebrew it, you can install an emulator on it. People are going to get this figured out. With the power of this headset, I expect you'll likely be able to run Switch games in it. I'll definitely give that a shot. I think that would be a super fun project to figure out. And that's cool and all, but there are emulators that have been working on adding VR support to emulated games, which is just, I don't even know how the hell people figured out that you could do this, but it's really cool. There's an emulator called PPSSPP that lets you play PlayStation portable games, and I know they have a VR mode of sorts. I don't know what all is supported, but it seems really cool. And I've also heard that Dolphin, the Wii and GameCube emulator, has been working on a VR mode or has support for a VR mode. Either way, because this is a Linux device, I expect that these things will work very well on it. It's going to be so exciting to try to explore different like Wii games in VR. Imagine playing Wii bowling, but you're but you're the me actually doing the bowling. You know, like, who knows? The sky's kind of the limit on this sort of thing. And you want to know what might not even need an emulator, just some external program to launch that doesn't even involve emulation? Quest games. There are other channels that have done great videos on the potential to run Quest games on the Steam frame already, so I'm not going to go into too much depth here, but basically the architecture of the chip in the Steam frame is the same architecture as the chip in the Quest 3 and the Quest 2, and it's more powerful, and you should never underestimate the Linux nerds' abilities to get shit running on Linux. They will figure this out. Like, I don't want to put my voice out there, guarantee that Quest games are going to run on this thing, but I kind of don't see a world where they don't end up running. Now, that would be piracy. Can't endorse this, but I do want to play Batman. You know, I feel like I want to elaborate a little bit further on this point because VR is still very much growing, right? If you were to pirate a Meta exclusive game, you're not hurting Meta. You're hurting the people who developed that game because they've bought up all of these smaller studios, and the purchases that you make on their platform, while you are very unfortunately giving Meta money, is kind of necessary to keep these studios afloat. I mean, look at all the layoffs that have happened in just the last year. You know, it's not like we're talking about Adobe products where you can like truly weigh the damage they have done to the creative space online against the damage it would do to pirate them and come up with a justification that honestly I feel is valid. It's just not like that. It just really isn't. The space is still growing. As much as I hate endorsing giving Meta a single dime, I think if you plan to sideload any Quest exclusive games onto this headset, you should go to the Quest store and pay for them first. That's just kind of how it is. It's so fucking stupid that Meta bought up all of these studios to make exclusives for just the Meta headsets. Like, I understand the business side of this, right? But there are so many fucking factors involved in buying a VR headset, like budget and play space and the things you're sensitive to, like OLED versus LCD or Fresnel versus pancake lenses. It's just a billion different things. Your budget as well. Did I already say that one? I don't know. It's worth saying twice if I did. It's ridiculous. Nobody, like, the games you are able to play is literally one of the last considerations, unless you're buying it for like one or two specific games that have to be exclusives. It's so stupid. I guarantee you all of these people would be selling more headsets if they just went away with the exclusives. The market, like, we're not there yet. As far as the market goes, it's not there yet, where it's like, oh, do I buy the PlayStation or the Xbox? They're both solid options with solid libraries, solid backing, and they both sit in the same box spot under my TV. Like, no, there's so much going on here. Exclusive, it pisses me off so bad. The Steam frame will not have built-in streaming services like Disney Plus or Max. HBO Max. I don't know what they're calling it these days, right? You'll be able to access it through a browser, but it won't be built in. But I think this, I could be wrong. I think this is the first ever VR headset where you can install Qubit torrent straight onto the headset. So for media consumption, I'm just putting that out there. Like, you know, you're not supposed to do that, but like, you could. It works on Linux, and this is just Linux. Speaking of stuff you're not supposed to run on it, I don't know if this falls into the category of homebrew, but I love that Valve will have VR games available on Steam on the headset that they know are not going to run on the frame, and they're going to tell you this game is not going to run very well on the frame, and they'll let you boot it up anyway. I can't wait to play around with that. Just booting up all this bullshit that is not going to run well, it's not going to look well, it's going to be choppy, but I get to do it anyway because it's my computer strapped to my face so I can do whatever I want with it. At the end of the day, the standalone potential of this headset just in general is kind of up in the air. We don't know how well it'll perform as a standalone headset. We can assume it'll be better than the Quest 3, but the streaming seems so much better, so I don't know. I kind of expect that Valve is going to rely on VR reviewers to decide whether or not to recommend this headset for standalone. Unless the frame releases and everyone just is in agreement that it's the best standalone headset that's ever released, I don't really see them positioning it in the market that way. I don't know. I really do think they'll just let people figure it out. Does this work for standalone? And if it does, maybe then they'll double down on all of that in the marketing. And the last thing that may never happen, the one true advantage the Meta Quest has over the Steam frame that I don't know if it can be homebrewed in, on the Quest, you can summon dope-ass Yola into your living room and have him teach you how to roll a joint. I hope to God somebody figures out how to make this work on the Steam frame. I mean, like, what's the point of even having VR if you can't do this? All right, whatever. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Did I miss a couple of things? Is there any homebrew you're looking forward to? Am I absolutely psychotic on some of these claims? Let me know. That's fine. I love you. Thanks for watching. Bye.